By the late 30s, Copeland's piece Billy the Kid was filled with spare, open chords and folk-inspired melodies. The composer had arrived at what turned out to be a signature sound. Where do you place him in the use of this sound with these relatively unusual intervals for that time?
I place him at the top of that.
I'm sitting opposite composer John Corigliano, who's at the piano.
He may not have been the very first, but he was certainly the one that is most recognized. When that sound comes, and it's called Americana, by the way.
What was he using to create that sound?
Well, Aaron Copeland wanted to preserve the sense of tonality, the sense of being in a key. The chords that came out of those scales were chords that had been used for 200 years. And he wanted to make fresh chords that still could be in a key. And to just illustrate
Tonal composers had, for the most part, made chords built around conventional thirds. That is, built around every other note in the basic scale.
We have a chord. Chords harmonize. What Copeland did was he decided that you didn't have to build chords on every other note. You could do other ways of combining notes to make a sound like a chord. For example, you can use just one note above the, and you can get a beautiful sound if you play that. Copeland used very often two-note chords, and when he had more than two notes, they were very far apart or very close together, but they didn't have this chain of thirds, so they sounded very sparse, and yet sounded very beautiful.
So there it was, a non-European, somewhat radical, very accessible American style. Tender and yet triumphant. Simplified to go along with the progressive populist politics that had led Copeland in this direction in the first place. And it was patriotic, in keeping with a moment that celebrated the so-called common man.